Episode 3. We find our way back to Mexico in this episode and get Ambrosia back to Newport Beach. We hitched a ride to Mexico with my colleague Arjun. Sick car, bro. Can you give me a ride to Mexico?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, sweet. Oh, no worries. We got money.
Side note, Arjun and I just published a scientific paper in the Journal of Organic Chemistry. Check the description for more information if you're interested.
All right. Thanks for taking us to Mexico.
No problem.
Very nice.
Glad to be able to do it.
Yeah. No, it's actually more tight. Yeah. Border. That is the border.
All right. Hey.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Safe.
I'll see you when I get back. Thank you.
Careful, my top's open.
See ya, Arjun.
Thanks for the ride, RG. Just like that, we were off on an adventure. We needed to find our way across the border from the US side. Once we were in Tijuana, we'd have to find a bus company and purchase tickets to Ensenada. You can see the electronic billboard on the right is for the currency exchange rate. $1 buys 19 pesos and 52 cents. We didn't exchange any cash because we planned to buy bus tickets with card. We still had 20 pesos left over from our previous trip to Mexico. Enough cash to buy street tacos when we arrived in Ensenada. If you just follow the signs and you follow the crowds, eventually you'll find your way to Mexico.
There's literally a sign that just says Mexico. Right, that one. That one says to Mexico this way.
We found the land bridge that spans both of our countries. The US side is very different from the Mexican side. We have a beautiful walkway with stimulating art, trees, and benches for the weary to rest on.
This is pretty cool, isn't it?
At the very end of the border path, you must cross no man's land. Standing here is surreal, and without getting too political, it's a reminder of our intense immigration enforcement. I cannot imagine the people that make this crossing every day and what this zone means to them.
And now we need to find the bus terminal so that we can go to Ensenada.
And just like that, we were in Mexico.
Oh, they looked through all of our stuff, didn't they?
Yeah.
What were they looking for? They took all of our stuff out.
E-cigarettes.
E-cigarettes. We don't have any e-cigarettes. Oh well, that was fun. So now we're here. When we finally got past the border, the very last checkpoint was a bunch of tiendas selling tacos. And Sam is really hungry right now.
Very hungry. It was not nice.
It was not nice, but we want to make sure we get to the bus terminal before we stop and eat. But oh, the smells were so good. All the tacos. It was just right back over there.
We actually didn't get street tacos in Tijuana, even though the smell was very appetizing. It turns out that the bus terminal was just on the other side of this bridge. We purchased a ticket from the ABC bus line. There's a departing bus to Ensenada every hour on the 45-minute mark and costs 235 pesos. There's a big sign in front of the building here. You really can't miss it. The main highway going west from Tijuana follows the border wall until the ocean, then turns south. On the Mexican side, the wall is a constant reminder of the division between our countries, whereas on the American side, there's a buffer of land, so it's out of sight and out of mind. Here you can see just how expansive the wall is from their side. Look, it's the Coronado Islands. We'll sail right past them tomorrow. On the trip down to Ensenada, we passed the islands on their leeward side during the small craft advisory. They offered brief but welcome refuge from the whipping winds. And fun fact, this entire span of coastline is incredibly shallow. Check out the depth in fathoms on the marine chart. The depth from the coastline to the islands never surpasses 20 fathoms. We enjoyed a beautiful sunset as our minds wandered off into the distance. But eventually we arrived in Ensenada.
Tacos de pescado.
The cheapest taco spot that we found in town was just across the street, and it was still open.
We're open.
Let's go get some adobada tacos. This is
I
the
only have 20 pesos.
This is the cheapest taco joint in all of Ensenada, right here. Oh, and that's where we can get the beer.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Adobada is marinated pork cooked shawarma or Euro style with a flame broiler, and it is delicious.
Bon appetit.
After dinner, we walked over to the supermarket across the street to purchase the most important provisions.
Just Michael with all his beer. He's very happy. Very cheap. And I want cookies. Hey, Doc.
2 kilometers later, and we were in the tourist district, just outside of the boatyard. We debated going to Husong's Cantina for another margarita, but decided not to, since they would have to confiscate our backpacks upon entry, and that seemed like too much of a hassle for a margarita and mariachi, no matter how good it is. The guard dogs were a little weary of our late night arrival.
Llegamos!
But the caretaker welcomed us back with a friendly smile.
Wow.
Alright, we're back in the boatyard.
Crazy boat.
Wow. Huh? Look at that.
Romantical.
It's really nice to come back to the familiar smells of teak wood and sea salt. Home sweet home.
Oh, there we go. Huh, look at that. It's home sweet home.
Whoa.
Just the way we left her, huh? Pretty cool. Alright. Yeah, she looks pretty good. There's a little layer of dust everywhere.
It was Thursday night, and we planned to splash down tomorrow around noon due to the tides. We'd have approximately 36 hours of small craft advisory winds before the typical dead calm weather would set over the Channel Islands. But before we could leave Ensenada, we'd have to check out of customs and immigration.
Good morning, sleepyhead. It's day 2 of our return trip to Mexico, and it is raining. Okay, so we just bought some tacos from a nice lady in her car right there, and we paid with dollars. She gave us a really good exchange rate and put salsa in a little baggie, and we've got 4 tacos and we got change, so we're good to go.
We woke up a little too early for the immigration office, so we decided to eat these tacos for breakfast and return to immigration during working hours.
Bye, my crane.
Did I just hear a trumpet? I think someone's playing a trumpet. Anyways, as I was saying, this is really good, and the tortilla is like all fatty and oily and wet and soggy. It's really tasty.
Some salsa.
Several hours later.
Okay, we're getting out of immigration here. We're still not done yet. It is one complicated process. So there's 2 things going on. Immigration for Sam and I as humans, right? So that was easy. We just gave them a little receipt for when we came into the country, and they're like, okay, you're leaving, we just need your crew list. So then we need to leave immigration, go to the port captain to get a crew list. And then I go back to immigration, I say, we need 6 copies of your crew list. Please go to the closest copy machine and get 6 copies. So then we leave and we go get 6 copies of our crew list that the port authorities gave us for the immigration. Holy cow. And then we check out of immigration, that's all fine. And then we go back to the port authorities to check out the boat, and they say, we need 3 copies of your crew list from when you arrived. What? So then we gotta go and get that. And now we need a document that proves that we don't have any outstanding debts with the marina that we're in, and that we are allowed to leave. So now let's get that. Yeah, and one more thing, when we arrive, we pay for all of our fees with a credit card right there in that building. But when we leave, we have to take a receipt to a bank and pay in cash. What? Okay, so we are on the way to the bank to pay the fee so that we can leave and get our Zarpe papers. We went to the wrong bank first, that they wouldn't accept that type of paperwork. So then we had to go to another bank, and then they wouldn't accept credit card payments. So then we had to go back and get cash and go back into the bank. But everything's finally bought and paid for. And the nice thing is that the change that we got from cash, we bought a bunch of veggies. Sam, show us the veggies that we got.
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Not veggies. Okay,
Yeah, not veggies. That's cheese.
Cenoura.
Yep, some carrots.
And banana.
And bananas, like burro bananas. So now we're just gonna go back to immigration, and we're gonna finish checking out of the country and then head on out of here.
Sorry, I keep saying immigration, but what I mean to say is the port authorities. We've already checked out of immigration. We're currently working on the paperwork and fees for the permission to legally leave the Ensenada Port Authority's jurisdiction and travel unimpeded by the Mexican Coast Guard or Navy. What we're trying to obtain is our Zarpe papers, which grant us permission to leave the country.
You're not gonna like what I have to say.
What?
The port is closed, we cannot leave.
What?
They will not open the port till Sunday.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. The guy will not sign the papers. He says there's too much wind, the port's closed.
We're a sailboat.
I told him that. He said, but your sailboat under 45 feet, you can't go. I'm dead serious.
Why would they? That doesn't make any sense.
I know it doesn't. And he said that if we leave, we risk having the Navy Patrol come,
Oh, come on.
bring us back to port, dock us, and sanction us.
We struggled to understand what had just happened. In summary, because the wind had picked up to a small craft advisory, the port captain declared the port closed to all outbound traffic. In hindsight, we understand this is a risk mitigation strategy that has probably saved many lives over the years, but in the heat of the moment, we were speechless and upset. Eventually, I got my tongue back, and I went to practice my Spanish on the port authorities, politely telling them I had traveled from afar, specifically this weekend, because there was wind. I bounced around from one public servant to another, exchanging serious but polite words and making my case to anyone that would hear me. Eventually, my plea fell upon the ears of the port captain himself. I was escorted to his office, which was exuberantly decorated with muskets, swords, and maritime memorabilia. We sat face to face on his large wooden desk. I was able to make my plea directly to the port captain. He proved to be a wonderful person, filled with sentiment for the open ocean and a firm grasp on reality. We came to the agreement that I could leave the port with the understanding that no rescue attempts would be made should this prove to be my last passage. A formal contract of release of liability was drawn up on the spot and signed. After our business was done, we chatted fondly about global expeditions and where the winds might take me and Samantha in the future. I shared my YouTube channel, and I truly hope that he is watching. After saying our farewells, we raced back to the boatyard with our Zarpe papers in hand, and told Guillermo to splash Ambrosia back into the Pacific Ocean because it was time to finally leave.
The craziest thing just happened. We got blocked to leave Ensenada, but then I kept asking, like, why are we blocked? You know, does it make sense? We need wind to sail. And, you know, I kept asking, the officials kept asking, and they saw that, you know, I was genuinely trying to speak with them in Spanish, and I wasn't really upset. I was just trying to understand. They pulled me inside, sat me down with the port captain, and he said, I'm going to make you a special request allowing you to leave on the condition that you need wind to sail, and that makes sense. So we're going to give you a special permit to leave Ensenada. And I got to meet the port captain. He's a super cool guy. He gave me poems that he wrote, actually literary pieces, and I'm going to read them on the way home.
That was terrifying. They pulled him into a room, and I sat outside with 3 men, and they closed the door.
Sam thought I was a goner.
Yeah, it turns out they were lollygagging.
Yeah, we're lollygagging, talking about boats.
Okay.
As one does.
Alright, let's leave.
We can now leave, alright.
Yay!
Thank you, port captain.
Yeah, and meanwhile our the guy fixing our boat, Guillermo, was like, there is a regatta happening from Newport with hundreds of boats coming our way. So we need to make sure that we leave so we don't get caught. So Guillermo, the guy who runs the boat place, was like, by the way, this weekend there is a Newport to Ensenada international yacht race happening with hundreds of boats coming towards us. And you can actually track them on Windy and see where they are because they started this morning. So this is where they all are right now.
They are just off of Oceanside.
Yeah, so
Wow,
you
look
can
at
actually
that.
like zoom into them.
That's so cool. And you can see the symbol for the catamaran
Yeah.
and the symbol for the monohulls.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And you can see all their names. There's Good Energy, Spin Doctor. They're going fast. Some of these boats are going 17 knots.
Well, they're going downwind too. They probably got
They're
their
going
spinnakers
downwind.
up.
The catamaran that's in front right now is going only 10 knots, but the ones that are trying to catch up are going like 14 knots.
Holy cow.
14 knots.
And we do have some heavy wind.
Yeah, well, they're getting gusts up to 35 up there right now.
Really? Holy cow.
12.8 knots. Double Down, Runaway, Ohana, Dark Star, 5150, Kite 35. Like, look how many boats are in the same area together right now.
That's pretty wild. Some of them are right on top of each other.
Yeah, right on top of each other. So they're all currently in Oceanside. I guess they started this morning, really early.
Very cool. In Newport.
Hopefully, we'll be gone by the time they get here, because that just seems like a terrible idea to be stuck in a regatta
Having
going
to
the opposite direction of all of
Tacking
them.
through them.
Yeah, so I think the plan is it makes more sense to just kind of go out.
Yeah, and leave
That
early
way.
and go west.
Yeah, get out of their way as
Yeah,
much as possible.
Make westerly. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. It'll be very cool to see them from a distance.
Yeah.
And just like that, we were back in the water. We checked to make sure Ambrosia wasn't taking on any water, and we had the team at La Costa guide us off and cast the lines.
Doctor.
As soon as we ventured past the protection of buildings and boats, the true wind speed became evident. The flags on the boat were fully outstretched and fluttering quickly. I estimated 15 to 20 knots of wind, so we only raised the mainsail to the second reef.
Doing 5.2, 5.3 with just the main on the second reef.
As we approached the breakwater, we saw container vessels smashing through large waves. We could only imagine what lay in store for us. I'd be lying if I said we weren't rethinking the release of liability papers we had just signed with the port captain. But once we were in the open, Ambrosia rode the waves elegantly, putting us at ease for the long voyage ahead.
Sam, can you sheet in the main a little bit? You're gonna need the winch. Yeah. Okay, cool.
We were achieving 4.3 knots comfortably, but we needed to pinch upwind and tack our way out of All Saints Bay. We called upon the jib to help power us through the tacks as we literally set sail into the sunset. Ambrosia heeled up to 30 degrees, even fully reefed as it were. The waves were steep and crashing. We took several waves into the cockpit, and 2 of them came crashing down the companionway and soaked the galley.
It's a wet one this time. Sailing out of Ensenada.
If this was a sign of what was to come, we were in for a wild ride.
Okay, so we are headed pretty much south out of Bahia de Todos Santos right here. And we're close hauled right now, so once we clear that shallow area, we can do a tack 90 degrees and go straight towards the point of San Miguel. 6.3 knots with a reefed main and a reefed jib. And we're both in our frog togs getting sea spray all over us.
Join us in the next video, where we share our passage back to our home port of Newport Beach, California. But until then, stay dry and hold fast, sailor.